Students, today we'll talk about the plot of the novel Sons and Lovers. D.H. Lawrence begins his novel by briefly sketching the background, and the time was second half of the 19th century and place was Nottinghamshire. So this was the setting of the novel, which includes the time and the place. Nottinghamshire was a place where mining activities were going on, and to accommodate the large number of miners working there, residential units were constructed. The main characters of this novel, Walter Morrill and his wife Gertrude, lives in the Bottoms, a small residential unit where coal miners reside. So, this way, very deftly, Lawrence describes the setting and background of the novel and then introduces the main characters and focuses on the events. So, the story goes on like this. Walter Morrill was a collier and illiterate man, but very dashing and handsome also. His wife, Mrs. Gertrude Morrill, has a congregational background. Now, Congregationalists are basically the Calvinists. She was a woman of fine tastes and well educated also. The two have been married for 8 years when they were introduced to us in the novel at the beginning. They have been married for 8 years. But Walter proved to be an irresponsible breadwinner and a drunkard. And because of all this, his wife disliked him uh, for what he had once meant to her and for what he now was. So all her illusions uh, are they were shattered when she faced the reality of marrying a coal miner. Consequently, she turned towards her children for emotional support and companionship. She was a good parent, and her children also loved her. The oldest son, William, was successful in his work, but he longed to go to London, where he had promise of a better job. After he had gone, Mrs. Morrill turned to Paul, her second son, for the companionship and love she had found in William first. So unconsciously, she took her sons as husband substitutes. Okay. Then her second son, Paul, he was a very good painter. He liked to paint and he was a very emotional and sensitive child as compared to his brothers and sister. And that's why he needs more attention. And because of this, he was also more closer to Mrs. Morrill than any of the other children. After some time, when William returned from London, he brought a girl with him. Her name was Lily, but she was not the right kind of a girl for him. She was of a shallow nature and a self centered type of a girl. But before William himself understands the fact about her, he resigned himself to keeping the promise he had made to Lily, his fiancée. Then, due to emotional split, William becomes ill, and Mrs. Morrill went to London to nurse her son and was with him there when he died. Now, this event shattered her emotionally, and she could not bring herself out of her sorrow for a long time. Then Paul became sick And then she realizes that her duty is towards the living rather than with the dead. And after that, she centered all her attention upon Paul. Annie and Arthur were capable of carrying on their affairs without much attention that Paul demanded, because he was a very sensitive type of a child, and he was not very healthy also. Then, when Paul was 16 years of age, one day he went to visit some friends of his mother, Mrs. Morrill, the Livers. They were a warm hearted family, and Paul easily gained the friendship of the children. Mariam was one of them. She was 15 years old at that time and was a somewhat different type of a girl. But her inner charm attracted Paul. Although nobody, including Mrs. Morrill, Paul's mother, cared much about her. Then, after some time, Paul went to work at a stocking mill where he achieved success both professionally as well as socially. Meanwhile, he continued with his drawing and painting also, and Miriam was there to support him. She watched over his work and with quiet understanding offered judgment concerning his success or failure. Here, Gertrude, Paul's mother, was happy and feels that someday her son would become a famous painter and earn name in the field of art. So, students, here we'll stop today, and tomorrow we'll continue with the plot summary and see what happens next and how the story ends. Till then, thank you.